On any given day, you can be an entrance elf, a water cooler elf, a bridge elf, train elf, maze elf, island elf, magic window elf, emergency exit elf, counter elf, magic tree elf, Santa elf, photo elf, usher elf, cash register elf, runner elf, or exit elf.
That's a lot of elves.
A lot of
That's
elves.
way
Those are
too
all
big.
of the elves.
That is insanity.
The Nerdy 30s, the podcast that proves you don't have to give up what you love at any certain age.
We have a special guest with us today. His name is Bear Brommel.
Hello.
He's right there. I can see him. You guys can't, but I can. He is playing Crumpet from the Actors Theatre of Louisville's production of the Santaland Diaries. Why don't you tell us about yourself?
Well, I'm not a real elf.
Are you sure?
What?
I'm an actor based out of New York via Minneapolis. I was a part of the apprentice program here at Actors Theatre of Louisville last year, and against all odds, they brought me back to do another show, to do this fun little thing.
So what was it like being in the apprentice program? Because everybody that we've met has been in it at some point. So
it's a 9-month process of where you just are here to help the theater, basically to be a part of the way this theater works.
Yeah.
And it's great. I mean, I was an acting apprentice, but there are development, education, directing, like dramaturgy and literary, marketing. There's just, there are 40-ish people that eventually, if they left this theater, they could all kind of go and work in their chosen field.
Yeah.
Now that they've had some like real life experience in a professional equity house.
Yeah.
So it was amazing. I mean, it was a long 9 months. Don't get me wrong. It was a lot of work, a lot of hours put into helping out this theater, but it pays off.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you got ass back.
I got the job. I got the job. And a lot of my friends are working in places across the country right now, and it's just like, it works, people.
Yeah.
It's proven. It's proven to work.
Well, that's always something that I've always heard from several actors. It's always take classes and do an apprenticeship.
Yep.
That's what they've always said.
Your craft.
Exactly.
And hey, it's nice to know it's working.
Well, I went to school. I say that I went to school to learn how to act, and then this apprenticeship taught me how to be an actual actor, to build a career as an actor, which is true. Now I know how to go and talk to people without getting clammy, and it's that sort of situation. Or like how to reach out to agents and managers and things like that.
Right.
Can't relate. Still clammy.
I mean, it doesn't work all the time. Sometimes you're so clammy. But,
Right. It happens. Whatever. So what's the biggest difference, like, from what you learned in your classes and what you've learned here?
Well, I mean, so I went to school in Minneapolis at the Guthrie Theater, just there. It's their big regional theater there, and we took acting classes. We learned text. We learned diction. We learned scansion. It's a classical training program, so it was mostly based around Shakespeare and Chekhov and the contemporaries of those. But coming here, it wasn't about, okay, now we're going to work on honing your craft. It was more of like, let's talk about what it means to be a professional. Let's talk about what you can do in order to put yourself in the best position to get jobs.
Right.
Which is it is truly a professional training company. It's not a actor training program, which is the title of where I went to school. It is you're learning how to be a professional.
That's awesome.
And so it really too it took the two most important parts of doing your job, like how to do it and how to succeed in it.
Yeah.
And
put it together.
And put it together, which is wonderful.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I actually read that you did a production at the Globe.
Yeah.
That is super cool.
So part of our program is we spend 3-4 months in London.
Yeah.
Working at the Shakespeare's Globe. We take classes there and kind of just
that is so cool.
Living theater in London. It was amazing. So we did The Winter's Tale. It was like it's not like a fully sponsored production,
right?
But even to just perform on that stage for a couple of nights was
mind blowing.
Oh my! It's not the original location and stage, but it's as close as it could possibly get, and it is absolutely nuts to be speaking on that stage out into the out into the sky, right? Like there is no roof over the people, over the groundlings on the. It was It was an absolutely incredible experience. Taught you like really how to fill a space because you're filling the night air. It was fascinating.
Do they have like mics there or anything? So no. you had to learn to project.
Yeah, I mean sometimes when they do bigger musicals and things like that, they'll use mics, but we had people who were like, okay, you're going to do your Shakespeare sonnet, but the people way in the back need to be able to hear it.
Yeah.
So it was an incredible educational experience, and I mean, I get to live in London for 4 months.
Yeah, that's flipping cool.
Are you kidding me?
It's the dream.
It was unbelievable. I want to go back, but
it's expensive.
It's so expensive, and it's hard to get a work visa. People who are able to do it are just blow my mind. I'm like, where? Who's sponsoring you?
How do you do that?
How do you do? You help, please. You help.
Help me, please.
There was I visited the Globe Theater a few years ago. And they were telling I did not. They didn't have. It was off season, so there was nothing going on. But I was like, I'm still gonna go look. And I also saw where Shakespeare went to church, and I was like, this is cool.
It's pretty. I mean, like it on the Thames right there. It's like that is where theater sprung up.
Yeah.
In England. I mean, theater's been happening since Greeks and
the dawn of time.
Exactly. But like you literally are standing on the bank of where those people were making the Rose and the Swan, and it just was like.
It's cool, isn't it?
So cool. It was so awesome.
It's a little overwhelming.
No, a little bit.
Yeah. Did you get to throw fruit at anyone? Because I know at the Globe you can throw fruit. Like
right, like that's.
Get off the stage! Get out of here! We don't like you.
We do. I mean, I think that was be frowned upon by everyone.
Just
right?
amongst friends.
Just amongst friends.
All actors should throw tomatoes at each other.
Exactly. But I didn't get to see. That's the thing is, I didn't get to see my friends on stage because I was on stage with them. Right?
That's true.
But we did get to see. I mean, I saw an awesome production of Midsummer, which was just.
That's one of my favorites.
I mean, it's a classic.
Yeah,
it's a class. It was the guy playing Bottom was one of the best. He was one of the best actors I've ever seen. He was one of the best bottoms I've ever seen.
I was like,
the show is for adults.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, it was incredible. I also saw some theater on that stage that was absolutely abysmal, truly terrible.
That's when you get the fruit,
right?
You get
the fruit. I know that was where I wish I would have had something to throw, but
a tomato, a piece of corn,
something hard. Actors really hard.
Here's the thing actors do. I remember being in college and doing like a really long Tennessee Williams play and just
you played video games.
Like, it's amazing, and the reviews were like, "That's so boring." I'm like, I feel bad.
It's like I'm sorry.
Fine.
Sorry, you're sitting here watching. It's my bad.
It's not. I mean, not everything is everyone's cup of tea. I'll tell you that.
That's true.
That much from a place of real experience where it's like, oh, these people clearly aren't enjoying the show as much as I am. Like I look around and I'm like, where?
But you know what? At least you're having fun.
Exactly.
You know?
To be fair, it was a 3-hour-long downer. So.
That's true. People need.
That is Mr. Williams.
You have to break up downers. You have to break it up with some sort of funny. But back to you instead of the Globe Theater. I noticed that you've done a lot of like Christmas plays.
Yeah.
Are you making this decision, or are you just Christmas in a bottle or something like?
Yeah, Christina Aguilera's Christmas in a Bottle.
That's what I was thinking.
That's who I am. No, I mean,
you gotta rub me the red.
I mean, every theater in the country is doing a Christmas has Christmas programming, right?
Right.
And the goal is to work. I mean, there are people who have been doing the show here, doing Christmas Carol here for 8-9 years.
Right.
And that's the goal, is to get something that you can lock into and have that guaranteed work for a span of years.
Right.
So I did Christmas Carol at the Guthrie for 2 years before they kind of changed the way that they do that show. And it was, and truly, like, doing a show during the holiday season is so incredible because one, you're in a theater with a bunch of other people who are all excited about Christmas. The decorations are up. The people are doing Secret Santa. People are, at the Guthrie we did like a huge kind of like toy drive, and we would wrap all these toys and give them to families in the community.
Oh, that's cool.
There were so many cool things that you do, and it just so happens that yes, now I've done Christmas Carol and the Santaland Diaries. And I'm like, living in the full Christmas spirit these past couple of years.
You're so jolly.
So jolly. It is. I mean, it's great. Granted, this is a very different experience because the Christmas spirit is not so strong with Crumpet.
Right.
He certainly has.
He's a curmudgeon.
He has more of a Scrooge-ly take on some things.
Right.
But I think there's room for that too in Christmas,
Yeah.
right? Like there's a little bit because the holidays are amazing, but not for everyone, right?
Right.
Sometimes the holidays are a point of resentment for a lot of people and
Are really hard.
right? And so to be able to come and just laugh at how kind of insane some of the holiday traditions and things are, it's great. People, I've been having a lot of fun poking fun at things, Santas and elves and all those jolly folk.
Is it nice doing like one that's geared towards adults?
Yeah, definitely. It is really nice, and then suddenly you like look into the audience. You're like, oh, there's a 6-year-old girl in her doll, and I don't think she belongs here. I don't think she should be here.
It's like, oh, maybe not.
Yeah, maybe not. I don't want to be the one who's telling her that Santa's not real.
Yeah.
I don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
So
maybe she already knows. There are a lot of families that don't do the Santa thing.
Which is like cool, but I don't know that.
Yeah.
I can't tell.
Yeah.
But it is, I mean, I love it because it is a show meant for it. We talk about soap operas. We talk about like what it means to be a parent during the holidays. It's a show absolutely geared towards adults and parents and people who have some life experience behind them, because people who have life experience are bitter.
Right.
And Crumpet is bitter, right? Like that's.
He's like, this sucks.
Right, he's like, he just, he laughs and he pokes fun at all these different people that come into his sphere during those days in December, and it's a blast because I just get to play with a bunch of people who have had that experice. Like,
right.
Whenever I mention the parents, screaming at their children, they always like give a little wink, nudge. Like, we know. It's like, oh, we know about that, don't we?
Well, the audience is kind of like your ensemble.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like you're doing Santaland Diaries. It's like you're doing stand-up, but the audience is your castmates.
Right, which is weird because I mean, like it is basically stand-up. Stand-up. I think a lot of people just consider just to be storytelling, and that's all that this is. It's just telling a bunch of stories, which is weird because it's also directly pulled from a book, right?
Right.
So some of it doesn't feel very theatrically like transitional, right? Like there's some things where it's like, oh, that's the end of that chapter. We turn the page and a light shift, and we're now in the new chapter, right? So it's a little bit difficult to do that sometimes, just because it's not necessarily written to be like one full diatribe of sorts. It is kind of chunked out in between it, but it is like stand-up. It absolutely is. Whereas if something happens, if you get like a heckler, I haven't had any hecklers, but
thank goodness,
right? But if like somebody, if somebody's phone rings, or last week a woman's purse fell out onto the floor and all of her stuff just rolled onto the stage, and so we were like let's just take a moment and let's help her pick it up. And then it happened again, and I was like, I'm not doing this twice. But it's just that you react and respond to whatever the audience is kind of feeling that night.
Yeah.
And that's not the case with many shows. And luckily, Meredith McDonough, who directed it, kind of gave me permission to
improv,
to just like respond to what is happening, because the space is so small,
right?
And everybody can see everybody else, that there's no point in ignoring something that's happening. If somebody's getting up and leaving, just being like, okay, cool, like it's good to see you.
See you later.
Yeah, right. We'll see you later. There's a guy wearing a football jersey, so I was like, go Saints, right? Like, and he took off, and I was like, okay, great. It just I mean, the thing is, that show is for a very specific audience, and if people decide that is not for them, then I'm like, please don't sit here and suffer.
Don't be tortured the whole time.
Leave. But not. I mean, we've had like, I can count on maybe one or two fingers. We've had the people that have left, right? Like people tend to leave really, really enjoying themselves.
Yeah.
Because it's like, they get to laugh at something that maybe
they've thought about.
Yeah,
and they're like, I don't want to talk about this because Christmas can't make fun of Christmas.
It's like a universal experience anyway, because like I've worked retail during the holidays a lot.
Yeah.
It's I've had those exact thoughts. I've never been an elf, but
have you been an elf?
No. Wait. Yes.
Other than Crumpet.
Well, yeah.
I last year filmed a commercial where I was an elf. Yeah.
You were just born.
I'm just
born to
be
play it.
Born to be an oversized man-child.
His next stop is adapting the movie Elf into
a stage.
I would
stage.
love
I mean, hey, that'd be... I'm surprised I haven't... I feel like they have done that.
They
have. There's, yeah.
I was like, wait a minute.
I feel like every movie has, and I just don't know.
I have to bring this up. I was watching Elf the other day, and it's by David Sedaris, did Santaland Diaries.
Yep.
His sister, Amy Sedaris, is in Elf.
Yes.
And there's a moment when Zooey Deschanel is looking down at Will Ferrell, and he's looking up at her, and she goes, "Why are you messing with me? Did Crumpet put you up to this?" And I was like, whoa!
No way.
My mind was blown, and I was like, it's come full circle.
No way. All right, I got an Elf watch in my future because that's great. Little inside jokes being dropped up. Love that.
Yeah, and I mean it's
Cinematic universe.
It's replicated after Macy's Santaland
of course.
at Gimbel's.
Yeah.
But it wasn't at Gimbel's then, but they had to put it in Gimbel's because Macy's closed. So
That is hysterical.
literally, it's David Sedaris' stuff is in that movie.
He's transcending
Yes.
media here.
It goes everywhere. It's so realistic.
That's insane. I never noticed that.
Yeah,
Also,
I was super excited. If I hadn't seen Santaland Diaries, I would have had
you
no
would have
idea.
it would have sailed right over your head.
Right, I
It's
would have
been
been
a while
like,
since I've
Crumpet,
seen that
who
movie.
knows?
It's been a very long time since
Yeah.
I've seen that one.
Super cool.
That is so cool.
I know. I was like, yes. What's the best reaction that you've gotten from somebody in the audience?
Oh.
Other than Travis being a princess.
I know, it was a princess. It was like, opening night?
Yeah.
And there's one lucky person in the
best
audience who
princess.
gets to be a princess every night.
How do you pick?
It's where the light is.
Interesting.
I have to go. So I get a lot of freedom in the play, but the thing that is not free is that on certain lines I have to be on certain parts of the stage, otherwise I will be standing in the dark.
Yeah.
And so the blocking has to stay the same. And so it's always in that little aisle. But I do get to pick between like 4 people of like, okay, which one of these people do I want to come chat with? But it has to be pretty much the same shape every night. The reactions can change and the play can change, the playfulness of it can change, but it has to have the same roadmap. It has to have that same map. Otherwise, my stage manager would be very mad.
Yeah.
And the show, and so would the audience because they couldn't see anything.
They're like, what's happening?
Yeah, it'd be terrible. But I have had some really great reactions. One of the princess moments was it was like a guy maybe fresh into college or right out of high school. He was sitting there with his brother, and like they had been kind of keeping their they'd been keeping their mouths quiet the whole time, right? They weren't like smiling or laughing a lot. So of course I'm like, I'm gonna go bug you this thing. And as soon as I sat next to him, he started just cracking up. Like tears rolling down his face. He couldn't like it was one of those things where like he couldn't breathe. Like because he knew that I was coming from him as soon as I like it was really great. He was like this kid with braces, and I just gave him the whole 9 yards.
The full on Crumpet.
Exactly.
You gave him the full Crumpet.
I did.
Yeah,
It was great. I just love it. Or sometimes when I mention the soap opera, I see some people in the audience go like, oh my god, I do know. I know.
Got that
Victoria
reference.
Buchanan. Yeah, right. Like, so it's always nice to be like, oh, cool. This is landing on some people because I don't know many people that watch soap operas nowadays. David Sedaris loved them back in his day, but
does your mom?
Yeah.
My mom used to watch them.
I have never watched a soap opera.
One time I was in the hospital, and the only thing that would come through was soap operas.
Yeah.
And I got really into it. I was like, what is happening?
It's so good.
Someone just
like
died,
drama.
but now there's our twin? What?
I remember watching the whole Marlena is possessed by the devil on Days of Our Lives with my
Now that's
mom when
just
I was like
hot.
8, and it was amazing.
See, that's what I'm talking about. It's like that. What family has to deal with those types of issues?
Right, exactly. Who's being possessed by the devil?
Every dead twin.
Every week there's something new and insane happening.
Right.
So yeah, I understand the appeal, but I've never submitted myself to watching them. But I love it. When people when they react to it, I say, okay, good. Then you and I are going to talk about Victoria Buchanan.
Yeah.
Which is good. You just find the people who are enjoying the show the most, and you give the show to them. That's what you do.
I just remember when you walked up to Travis and you were calling him a princess. I was laughing so hard I started crying.
See?
You were like, how did he know?
I was like, yes! I actually made eye contact with you and went,
Yeah, you've done this.
I was like, you found him. He is the princess.
I mean, like, I do have pictures from high school theater where I was wearing that pink sash.
I know.
Drama queen.
He's dressed up like a princess
yes.
on maybe a couple occasions, not several. But it's so good. It made me happy.
Yeah.
What
I knew it
you
was coming
actually
to you.
like? You stripped down
Yep.
in the middle of the performance.
Yep. I do. I hand, because the show starts, no spoilers, but the show starts with, just dressed in normal clothes. And you're like, what is this guy doing? Is he just going to talk to us for an hour and a half?
Yeah.
And then eventually, the elf gets revealed, and the clothes, they have to go somewhere. I can't, carry them off stage. And so there's one lucky audience member that gets to hold on to them for the rest of the show.
Right.
And sometimes people are really, really willing to take on that role. And sometimes people are absolutely mortified
Resistant.
by the fact that I'm trying to drop my clothes
Yeah.
in their lap. But most people tend to be good spirits about it and good sports. And so I haven't run into too many problems with these people here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been, but but the thing is, once the costume comes on, they're like, oh, I get it. I know now why I'm holding your shirt and pants. I understand.
It's like,
now.
okay, you had to transform yourself.
You had to transform the crumpet.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This guy wasn't taking it. He
No.
was like, hold these pants, mother.
Please. There's one guy that folded them up really nice for me. I gave them to him, and he immediately started folding them and put them.
Did Mitch do that?
Mitch folded your pants. It might have been Mitch. We were like, my husband, he's over there, and he's like,
Yeah, he was sitting next to us.
he folded your pants.
Maybe that was who it was. Because I was like, what a nice gesture.
Yeah. He cares about you and your pants.
He cares about the organization of this show.
Yeah.
Making sure we're not just detritus everywhere.
Right, exactly. So, the set of the show, it's very minimal, but then you start realizing that, the opening of the walls is one of those, it's like a
Christmas
calendar, a little
chocolate
Christmas
calendar.
chocolate
Advent
calendar
calendar.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, that was absolutely the point of inspiration. William Bowles is the set designer. He's a designer from Chicago. And him and Meredith McDonough, the director, talked about how they wanted people to come into the theater and feel disappointed. Right? They're like, oh, but
Because that's what Crumpet feels.
Well, yeah, I walked in, I was like, this is just the backstage.
Exactly. It's
fine.
just like the back concrete wall. And then eventually everything, you slowly, bit by bit, pieces get revealed. And it is kind of like as each new day happens, like you would do during Christmas, as each day happens, you open a door and there's something behind it that you use for the show. And I love that because sometimes there's an audible gasp of relief of oh, thank God it's not right when the doors open and there's color behind there. People actually respond to it in a very visceral way where they're like, oh, it's not just a black set. We can we're here for a Christmas show, and it's finally revealing itself as such. And it's I have a lot of fun with it. Just because I get to see the audience members' reaction to everything that happens.
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit of joy, and we're like, we got you this time.
It's you're smiling now.
Now
Thank you.
you're smiling. Now I get you.
I love when minimal sets just surprise me.
Right.
It's like breaking open candy, just like the inspiration. So.
So what do you do when you completely forget what you're talking about? Do you just pull it out of the atmosphere? Or
we were just talking about that. I had an actor friend tell me that one of the best ways to do it is to just force yourself to make a noise, because the muscle memory of just a quick outtake of breath or a quick grunt or laugh or something will force you to remember the actual words that are supposed to come out.
Yeah, interesting.
Right, it's a weird little trick, and sometimes it works, and sometimes it doesn't, right? Sometimes you're way out of left field, and you're like, I can't remember where I am. Luckily, with a show like this, it is all about the preparation, right? It's a 30-page monologue that if you're not prepared for.
Yeah.
And if you are, opening night comes and you're not prepared, well, then you haven't done your job. But
yeah.
so
That could fully go awry very easily.
So it's never been it's never been that bad, thankfully. There's moments where I've swapped sentences around. I've said different words just because, truly just because. But it's never been a point where I'm like standing and staring at the audience, being like, where do I go from here? Because luckily it is all one arc. So even if you did forget something, you can just jump to the next beat. And usually the audience, unless the audience has memorized the script as well as you, the audience doesn't recognize or know.
Exactly.
But it is really weird to not have somebody else on stage, because normally you can, if you forget your line in a play, you turn to your scene partner and you remember, oh, that's right, this is what I have to say to them, because it's all about, right, it's like you have a need and a want and an action. It's like if you look at that person, you say, oh, that's what I need from you right now, there's my line.
Triggers your brain.
But when it is a monologue like that, you can't look at the audience and be like, what do I need from you? Oh, I need to tell you about Santa, right?
Right.
Like, it's a little bit harder. But it hasn't happened yet. Knock on wood.
Yeah.
I'm really hoping. Now we're gonna jinx it tonight.
No, it's gonna go great. Shh. It's gonna go. Shh. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah, exactly. No, it could be very tough, but luckily, if you spend the hours preparing for it, you spend the time getting your set in order, yourself in order, your mindset, and like, here we go, we're about to tell this long story, start to finish, then you should be pretty safe. You should be all right. Yeah. Yeah.
So what do you think's made Crumpet so much of a grouch?
He's based on David Sedaris.
Yeah.
he's
Have you read the Santaland Diaries, the book?
It's part of a book of essays. I think it's called Holidays. It's part of a book of essays called Holidays on Ice. And I've read that one.
Okay.
I have not read his full thing. And it truly is just lifted directly out of that book and placed in, it was adapted by Joe Mantello, who basically just wrote a couple of other voiceover things and like one or two stage directions and then called it a play. Which is crazy. But I think, David Sedaris has such a voice for kind of just life observation. Right? Something happens to him, or somebody walks into his life and he finds the crazy part of who they are, and he picks apart that and he talks about that, and I think that's fascinating. Like, I think the bitterness came particularly in this one because he says it at the very beginning of the play. He says, I'm a 33-year-old man applying for a job as an elf. Right. And that is a moment of true realization in your life. I'm like, is this really what I want to be doing right now? Is this really where I'm happiest? Yeah. Because he says he moves to New York and he wants to be an actor, and and this is David Sedaris before he was David Sedaris, right? Like he was still writing. He was writing he was still striving to be something that he would soon become, but had not become yet.
Right. And there's frustration in that.
Oh, there's a lot of frustration in that. I mean, like, it's crazy. It's crazy to think about, like, right? You always think about, like, oh, who were they before they were stars?
Yeah. Right.
Right? And this is what he was doing.
Yeah.
He was working as an elf in Santaland. And I have to sometimes remind myself and the audience, being like, these are true stories.
Right. Yeah.
These are things that actually happened to him. And if you feel like you're like, oh my God, I can't believe that would ever actually happen. It did.
Yeah.
This was the madness of New York in Christmas time, right? Like, this is exactly the thing that he found so hysterical and decided to write down and make into a piece. And I just think the bitterness comes from the fact that he would much rather be doing anything else. Right. And eventually he sinks into it and like he kind of gets joy out of maybe making the guest's life a little bit more difficult, right? Like, right. He gains a little Schadenfreude out of that, and it's I don't know. I think he's a very, very brilliant writer. He's made setting up jokes very easy.
Yeah.
The way that he writes is like very clear how he wants you to deliver it. Yeah. I'm having a blast doing the thing, truly.
That's why I enjoyed the show so much, because
I could tell you enjoyed it.
With Crumpet being 31 and restarting my life and pursuing my artistic dreams now. It's rough.
This is the thing. It is a universally a shared experience for people.
So did you pull from any real life experience to kind of have that curmudgeon feeling to it? Because you seem more jovial than curmudgeon.
This is exactly the point. My director, there's a line at the end of the show where I say, she's like, it really threw me because I'm not a good person. and Meredith was like, nobody's going to believe that.
Right.
Nobody's going to believe that what you're saying, which is, I'll take that as a compliment. But because it's true. Crumpet and I are two completely different people. And David Sedaris and I are two completely different people, right? I think he sees the weird in the world, and I see the joy in the world and the play in the world. And the way that we can find the little intersection of the Venn diagram of our two lives, like that's where this piece lies for me.
Right.
Is there are moments where I'm like, yeah, I am frustrated with these people in this play, and I'm like, that's where that comes from. But there's also things where I'm like, I'm having such a gosh darn good time having just like doing these simple stories, and like I get to ride a scooter around stage,
which is cool,
right? I get to do funny voices and make fun of people. It just, there's a lot of joy that comes out of that for me. But it's not, so like we don't live in the same world,
right?
Me and the character, which is great. That's an actor's dream, right? Like you're playing yourself slightly perverted to something else.
Yeah.
That's what a gift, right?
Right.
To not have to do something that feels close to who you are, but at the same time, you're still playing a character.
Right. Yeah. That's cool. It is. That's really cool. Now, with you doing so many like holiday shows, what's your favorite holiday memory?
My favorite holiday memory of these shows?
No, just in general.
Just life.
It's been a while since I'm from Wisconsin. I'm from the Midwest. Grew up there, and it's been a while since I was able to do this, but every year my family goes to a tree farm and cuts down the tree. Like they drive like 45 minutes away and strap it, cut it down. It's like you cut it down and then you put it on the back of like a horse, like a carriage, or
buggy,
whatever. What do they call those things?
Oh,
a sleigh.
Well, that's Santa.
A horse,
a carriage.
I just keep thinking tractor.
A tractor. Sleigh ride.
It's not a tractor.
Bring your tractor to school.
Yes, there was a bring your tractor to school day.
We weren't very far away from that.
It's like a cart. It's like a cart.
Where's the cart? Why can't I think of the word? Anyways, but it's this incredible experience. Like you go out and you're bundled all up, and there's just snow everywhere, and you walk around as my family would walk around, and we would just be like, this is a great tree. Oh no, we don't like this tree. This tree's got a weird butt to it, right?
That's the one I would pick.
It's like, well, we can put that side up against we can put that up against the wall, and like it's nice, but we have this tradition of if you find a tree and it has a bird's nest in it, if the bird's nest is empty.
I was gonna say, like, don't kill the bird.
Murder
you take the tree. But truly, right? If there were an empty bird's nest in it, we'd say this is the tree to take.
Yeah.
Because and there was something, and we'd leave the bird's nest in it. We'd leave it in there. We'd bring it home. We'd leave it in there, and then hang ornaments around it. It was. I wish. Granted, it's a little bit hard to chop down a tree here in the middle of Louisville, Kentucky. Right. And I'm also not going to be here for very much longer, but I'm excited to go home and see the tree that my family picked out.
Yeah.
That is, I miss doing that. It's been a couple years since I've been able to join them for doing that, but I love that. Absolutely love that part of it.
Yeah, that's cool. That's
chopping
really cool.
down a bird's home.
You're going down,
destroying a world, ruin Christmas. Just like Crumpet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just like
Crumpet.
Yeah, my the part that I really like in the Santaland Diaries that I really liked was when you were talking about Santa being really close to Satan.
Oh God!
Because I do not like Santa. I'm gonna put that out there. Santa. He freaks me out.
He's got a vibe to him that not everybody can gel with.
He's a peeping Tom. Mm-hmm. He is. I just don't like.
Why does he know when you're sleeping?
Yeah, he sees you all the time.
Yeah, the mythos around Santa is pretty nuts when you think about it, right? Like, it's kind of. I mean, here's the thing. Again, I love it, but if you overanalyze the man, it really can get into some dark stuff.
Yeah, CIA man, he's just watching.
Yeah, he's just watching.
He's the FBI.
He sees you.
Yeah,
but
your house is bugged.
Every house in America.
Like what, tinsel?
Oh God, no! The Satan part is one of my favorite parts too, because people don't see it coming.
Yeah.
Right, and then it's just It's something, if I were sitting at Macy's all day, you'd start to make little connections, be like, oh my gosh, yes. Santa is an anagram for Satan.
Yes.
And how maybe that's no coincidence.
Maybe he's a metaphor for greed.
Well,
maybe.
I mean, we can get deeper into that.
There's the whole like European Krampus thing.
Mm-hmm.
The demon that just eats bad children.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is an app,
My
right?
mind is blown right now.
Right.
Your theory of evil Santa has been confirmed.
No.
And I think I don't think it's a coincidence that Krampus and Crumpet's name are awfully.
I know. I was about to say that.
It's Krampus.
Oh. Well, I like Crumpet a lot more than Krampus.
Well,
I'm gonna be
certainly,
honest.
Crumpet's a human being and Krampus is a
demon
with horns and
that wants to eat
hooves.
everyone.
Yeah.
Pulls you down into the Netherlands and just chews on your feet.
I'm into it. Sounds like my ex.
Yes.
Yes.
You're right. So, who would love the Santaland Diaries?
Oh, I think this is what I say is if you put your children to bed and you want to go have a drink and come just like laugh at the kind of hilarity and oddity that is this Christmas season.
Yeah.
Right? Come see the show. If you want to go see a heartwarming, amazing story, go see Christmas Carol. Christmas Carol is one of my favorite stories of all time. Hands down. I think it is one of the best character arcs in the world.
Right.
You see somebody who like changes and learns and becomes a better person. And I mean, it's an old story, so there's definitely some like weird class issues with it, but it's in no way do I feel like I just think there's a reason that theaters around the country do Christmas Carol.
Right.
There's also a reason that theaters want to conversely do Santaland Diaries.
Right.
There are parts of people who are like, the holidays are tough.
Right.
And I need to just like go laugh at all the people who are so excited about the holidays.
Right.
Just like laugh in their faces for a little while. So if you're like down for a good hour evening of irreverent like holiday humor, and you want to bring your child to it, sure. But I think it's mostly it's good for those. It's good for your mom. It's good for you. It's good for your partner. Like it's a good date night. It's a good date night. Like go have dinner, have a drink, and then come see this, and then laugh at all. And then because then I think what it does is it reawakens. You're like, oh gosh, I know these people. They're in my life. And you go out of the theater and you start to see these people. These overly jolly Christmas people. And
right.
It just like shows you who these people are.
Yeah.
It's just like, now I see them.
They're here.
I was just watching myself for an hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. It kind of reminds me of like, just getting to take a break.
Yep.
Certainly. It's that much needed break from all the scampering that people do to get things ready for Christmas.
Yep. That's exactly how I feel. Truly.
Well, you know what? Mm-hmm. You've been awesome.
Hey.
Thank you so much for being on the show.
Are you kidding me? This has been great.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
This has been amazing.
Yeah, we enjoyed you.
I enjoy this.
Good.
Truly. Hey, thanks so much. And thanks for coming to see the show. Thanks for being the princess.
It truly is the gift that keeps giving.
It's so true. It's so true. So where can people go and see, like, where do they go for tickets?
Well, you can come down to the box office. There's always it's open on days when there are shows. Mm-hmm. You can, right before the show opens, you can always walk in to go get tickets. But also, you can go to the Actors Theatre website. You can get tickets for all the shows, for Christmas Carol, for Santaland Diaries. Pipeline just started rehearsing today.
Yeah.
It's a show that's coming in. Humana Festival, there's all sorts of tickets available for just some of the greatest shows that this theater has to offer. I'm not saying that lightly. The Humana Festival is truly one of the coolest things that could have ever happened.
Yeah, I always loved it.
I encourage you guys to see that stuff because it's
go.
always a hit, at least for me. So.
Yeah. It is for me as well.
Sweet.
I've seen some really cool stuff.
It is the #1 new work producing festival in the country. It's amazing.
I actually did not know that, but it makes total sense.
Right? It's five new plays every year for the last 42 years. 42 years, right? Mm-hmm. This theater's got something special going on. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Good.
I agree.
Good.
Me as well.
Oh!
Hey guys, like and subscribe to our podcast, like our Facebook, like our Patreon. We're poor. And we have a Twitter and an Instagram. It's all Nerdy 30s podcast. So check us out. And
check out Bear Brommel and the Santaland Diaries and Actors Theatre.
Is there anywhere that people can follow you, like, casually, your career?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram, Bear Brummel, bear.brummel. It's my personal actor page, and I have got a website, bearbrummel.com, if you want to just keep up to date about all the cool shows I've been doing.
And his mustache.
And my
his mustache journey.
That's what really people want, right?
People are like, hold on. Something's growing under his nose.
See that mustache.
Truly. Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks
it's
for
been
being
a
here.
blast. It's been so sweet.
We enjoyed it.
And we'll see you. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas!
Too old.
Merry Krampus. Who's that?
I have no idea. We just ended the podcast.
Oh.
Hello.
Who are you?
Oh, me. It's your local neighborhood elf, Crumpet. You know me.
We have a neighborhood elf.
I didn't
Is
know.
this like a Dobby situation?
I assume.
Dobby's creepy. Nobody wants a Dobby situation popping in and out of their house.
It's debatable whether we want you to. Okay, let's move on to questions.
How come every time we're at Actors Theatre?
It's just like random characters just pop in.
Yeah, every single time. So I'm assuming that you're Crumpet.
You would assume correctly.
That's crazy.
I'm amazing at guessing things.
Mm-hmm. Did the hat throw it off?
The hat did throw it off. There's no you don't have your little elf hat on.
Mm-hmm. Well, I can't be in costume literally all day, every day. I would go insane.
That feels like a personal issue.
It does.
It is a personal issue. I take personal issue to the fact that I'd have to wear that costume all day.
Yeah, I understand. I totally understand. Well, since you're here, do you want to do a quick 20 questions with us?
If it's quick.
Feelings about
It is quick, I promise.
holidays.
It's going to be like bit bamboo.
Beautiful.
All right. Okay, we'll just start it.
Great, let's hear it.
Favorite reindeer?
Rudolph.
Why?
Red nose.
Oh. Favorite coworker elf?
Oh, Snowball. So
Why?
cute. He's so cute.
He's just little.
Oh,
He is pretty cute.
he is a cute little snowball. I'll tell you that.
Favorite Christmas candy?
Oh God. Anything chocolatey and minty. Nothing peppermint, but like
Like the Olive Garden
like an
deal?
Andy's candy.
Yeah, that
It's not
sounds
really
good.
Christmas candy, but damn, that's good.
Andy's candy's
I
overrated.
associate it with Christmas. I agree with you.
Andy is my ex, and it's overrated.
No, don't eat his candy.
Andy candy. Candy. Angel on the tree or a star?
Oh, I grew up with an angel, but hey, non-denominational star if that's what you're down for.
Tinsel. What's your feeling on this? Is it the STD of Christmas or?
Glitter is the STD of the world.
Yes.
But tinsel I think tinsel's fine as long as it stays on the mantle or it stays on your tree. As long as it doesn't shed everywhere. Like anything that has shedding glitter, please, dear God, there is no room for it in any household.
Christmas song.
Oh, Holly and the Ivy.
What is that song?
Never heard that.
You've never
I
heard
don't
that one?
know that
it's
song.
It's an old like hymn. The holly and the ivy, when they are both full grown, know of all the trees that are in the wood.
I have
Don't
never
make me
heard
sing all
this.
of it, please.
Please do it. Do it. I'm just kidding. You don't have
it's
to.
fine.
You don't have to. I'm making a joke.
It's a great one.
Yeah.
Honestly, educate yourself, folks. Come on.
We shall.
Go and I'll look for it because that sounds good. What's your favorite Christmas movie?
Oh God. This is tough. My instinct was to say Polar Express, but I know that's not true. I simply know that's not true. I love White
It is
Christmas. I
terrifying.
love White Christmas. I love Holiday Inn. I like the old ones. I
Yeah.
like the old ones.
You
where
like the
they're
classics.
The classics where they're crooning and singing. I love those ones. And Die Hard.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's one of our questions.
We've already knocked out another question. Die Hard, Christmas movie or not?
Hell yeah, it is.
Christmas movie.
Die
Well, there's
Hard.
Christmas trees
Die
everywhere.
Hard. Yeah, exactly. Come on. Home
It's
Alone.
an action
Home Alone is a
Christmas
Christmas movie.
Yes, it is.
Die Hard's a Christmas movie.
You know
Come
what
on,
else is a
folks.
Christmas movie? The Addams Family.
Ooh, here's the thing. I'll take your word for it because it's been a while since I've seen it.
It is. The
Can't-
very beginning of it, it's Christmas carolers.
Well, shit.
Yep. There you go, everyone. Blew your mind.
Yeah.
Santa, creepy or not?
Oh, it depends on the Santa, right? I've run into a lot of Santas,
Yeah.
and there are, I'd say, 85% creepy, 15% on their way to creepy.
Who's the creepiest Santa you work with?
The one who spits. The one who spits all over the children. Not intentionally,
He's just a spit talker.
He's just a spit talker, and there's just something really off about that.
Which one's better of the song Last Christmas? The George Michael version or the Ashley Tisdale version?
Oh, come on. I'm not even going to what is the word?
I knew he was going to pick Ashley.
I knew it too. Ashley Tisdale, 100%.
Certainly, sure.
Most overplayed Christmas song.
Most overplayed Christmas? Mariah Carey. Screw that song. That song has no... That song...
Wait, which one? Because she's like the queen of Christmas.
Exactly. The one that I play a game where I come December 1st, I see how long I can go without hearing that song. Mm-hmm. And some years I can make it all the way to Christmas. Some years I like walk into a store on December 3rd and it's like, oh, cool. There's Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas.
Escape it.
You can't escape it.
It's everywhere.
It is everywhere, and I'm over it.
It's always on like the lineup.
It's
every hour.
Everybody
on the
considers
hour.
it to be a great Christmas song, but I hate it. Take it or leave it. Literally, take it or leave it.
Well, that knocks out another Christmas.
It does.
Oh God! Uh-oh.
Mariah Carey, Christmas queen or not?
Yeah.
I think she's if she's a Christmas queen, she's a self-imposed Christmas queen, and I
think she's a self-imposed a lot of things.
That's very true.
All the time. But you know what? That's what I like about her. No. She's like, I win.
Where's my tea?
Did you see that?
No.
Okay.
What?
So last New Year's special, she was supposed to go up and sing some music.
Oh.
She didn't really sing. I mean, she went up there and she kind of like mouthed some stuff and acted like she was enjoying herself.
I missed this?
But the very last song, she was, what was it? Always Be My Baby? Is that what it was she was going to do?
I don't know.
Well, she was standing up there and she was like, someone was supposed to bring me tea, so we'll see what happens.
They didn't do a sound check.
Yeah.
That kind of makes me like her a little bit more.
I know! That's why I like her!
I guess they're going to pick me up now.
True diva.
Yep.
How did this go unnoticed by me all this time?
I don't know.
All right.
It's like the... you seen the Patti LaBelle, or was it Patti LaBelle, the Christmas?
Yeah.
She's like,
where are my background singers?
My background singers. I don't know the words of this song.
Oh, that to me is the best Christmas movie of all time. I changed my answer. It's Patti LaBelle singing This Christmas with no background singers, not knowing the words. That's the best Christmas movie of all time.
So, you did all of our questions.
Beautiful.
Yeah, you pre-anticipated some more questions.
You did. Are you like psychic?
No,
you're an elf. You know.
He has special elf powers.
Yeah, special elf powers, and also I just know what things people like about Christmas, and it's weirdly Mariah Carey and Die Hard.
Mm-hmm. But thank you, Crumpet, for coming and joining us.
Can I leave?
Yeah, you can leave.
Bye.
Bye.
Tell Snowball I said hi.